Welcome to Alternative Investments Chat,
where we demystify the world of alternative investments and financing for entrepreneurs and investors alike.
With these discussions, we hope you're more empowered to unlock opportunities in your business or portfolio. I'm Erin.
And I'm Erica. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Alternative Investments Chat. Now, if you guys have been hanging out with us and listening to you for a hot second, that's our guest, Phoebe. That's our dogs. And
we do have a guest in on the pod today.
Yeah, so if you hear some barking or growling, it's all in... She's
all in good fun.
Yeah, she's happy.
She's commenting.
Yes. In fact, I read her my script yesterday. She had a few comments. So anyway, guys, if you've been hanging out with us and listening to us for a hot minute, you know that we're always exploring and learning where and how to invest outside of that stock market. Mm-hmm. So, and hopefully, if you are listening, we're teaching you how to grow your money the smart way, as we're also learning how to do. So most of the ways that we have covered in this podcast are what I would consider unknown avenues.
Sure. Obscure.
Yes.
Yes. Well, today we're actually talking about something that's been around a while. It's old-timey or old-fashioned, you might say. Mm-hmm. It's an asset class that's kind of coming back around, a little bit like low-rise jeans. You can always count on the worst fashion trends to come back around.
I saw those in a magazine and immediately cringed and just was like, no, please, Lord, no.
To be fair, they look great, but just, your whole belly's out. Like, you got to do a lot to prepare for that kind of
Don't get me wrong. I definitely rocked them for probably too long.
Sure.
But I was very thankful when the high rise, came into fashion.
Yeah, came back more comfortable.
Yes.
But, you might be thinking to yourself about this particular asset class. I think my grandma might have mentioned this to me before. Yeah. But we are talking about, drumroll please, high yield certificates of deposit. Yeah, CDs. CDs are cool again.
Oh, perfect. I knew I didn't get rid of these.
You actually have
for
a travel case.
So first and foremost, listeners, this is Nabisco. I saved all the tops of my cereal boxes and sent this in and got it for free. And this is the Nabisco man. And this was just a little one I could find quickly. And it is... I've got some old school CDs still in here. I got Katy Perry.
All right.
My favorite, who I still love, John Mayer. This was his first CD, Room for Squares. Yep. And this was I think this was not even out by a label at the time. I liked him. I got Taylor Swift. At one point I really did like her.
Yeah, that's a teardrops on my guitar situation.
Swifties don't come for me. I think this is the only album I've ever truly listened to. And since then, and then I've got some other random weird stuff, and for a while there, I was really into Christian music and local bands. So this is Friday Night Gunfight. This is one that is burned on a CD that's some local guys that I met a long time ago. So anyway, I knew I held on to this for a reason, and of course, because of the Nabisco travel case, this is what
kept it safe.
Obviously. Yeah. I mean, I worked hard. I had to eat all that cereal for those. No.
Thank you, Nabisco.
Yeah. Anyway, obviously, we know this is not what we're actually talking about. These aren't the real CDs that we are. So, high yield certificates of deposit, aka those high yield CDs, are the Beyonce products of bank products. These queens, there you go, these queens do what regular CDs do, but better, just like Beyonce. She takes it and she takes it at a high level, right? So sit back and... Phoebe, don't get mad at Beyonce. So sit back, get ready to get crazy in love with this asset class, and let's break it down.
Let's do it. So like we've mentioned, you probably have heard of the term high yield CD, but what is it that they actually do and how do they actually work? Yeah. So let's take it from the top. A certificate of deposit, or a CD, is basically a deal that you make with the bank.
Okay.
You agree to leave your money for a certain amount of time. This could be 6 months, 12 years, 3 years, whatever, 12 months, maybe 12 years.
12 years, who knows? There's some long-term ones.
But I was trying to go in order, so 6 months, 12 months, 3 years. There we go.
Yeah.
That's how numbers work. But in exchange, they guarantee you an interest rate to come back to you at the end of that term. So during that time, you can't touch that money that you've put aside unless you want to pay the early withdrawal penalty, which is the financial equivalent of being slapped on the wrist. And
No.
I really want to, bring up, those little slap bracelets.
Yes.
Since we're talking about CDs, those go hand in hand.
I think I got one of those from Nabisco too at one point.
Yeah, probably. And in money speak, that could be a few months worth of interest, which is not ideal.
Yeah. Well, banks are technically really, really thirsty for our cash. They want it. So they need to lend it out to stuff like for things like mortgages, business loans, people who bought NFTs and are now need desperate help. So sometimes banks go, hey, girl, if you deposit your money with us for a while, we'll give you a special promo rate.
Right.
And boom, that's where the high yield CD was invented. So old school CDs from 15 years ago could earn you maybe a measly 1%, maybe even less.
Yeah.
And now, thanks to competitive online banking, we're seeing rates of 4 to 5% range.
Much better.
Yes, much, much better.
4 to 5 times, you might say.
Exactly.
And
that's how numbers work.
That is how numbers work. We're learning about numbers today.
Yeah.
And unlike high yield savings accounts, which we're actually going to discuss on an episode that we're recording today, so won't be out, maybe not at the same exact time that this episode is out, but
in the future.
At some point, it'll be there. We're going to be diving further into that. And with those, the high yield savings account, the rate can move up or down at any time.
Yeah.
CD rates instead are actually fixed. So when you lock in a rate, you have that for the entirety of your term.
Got it.
The steps are pretty simple, but in case you miss them, this is what you need to know. You're going to pick your term. That's the time commitment, how much money or how much time you put your money away for.
Okay.
You're going to deposit the money.
Yep.
No touchy.
Nope.
Watch out for the wrist slap.
The slap band.
Until it reaches its maturity, and then you're going to get your money back plus interest.
Okay, so that sounds super simple. In fact, it may be a little too simple. So there has to be a catch, I'm assuming.
It always feels like there has to be,
always has. So let's break down the pros and the cons of this asset class. And today would be a little bit different. I'm going to do the pros. You know how much I love to do the cons.
You're feeling positive.
Yeah, I'm feeling positive. Well, because we've got our special guest wandering around the podcast area. So Phoebe is giving me the good vibes to do the positives today. Yeah. So positives and pros of this asset class. They're super safe. They are FDIC insured up to $250,000. So your money, a quarter mil. Yep, a little quarter. You do want to do numbers today, don't you? Your money is basically wrapped in bubble wrap inside of a vault, guarded by the intern that's just way too excited to have this position. But this great for your money. There's a guarantee return. No stock market roller coaster. No Bitcoin mood swings, you know how those guys go. Just a nice, calm, dependable interest rate. We like those. And you get higher returns. Like you said, these returns are often higher than typical savings accounts, like choosing premium guacamole, if you say. It might cost you a little something, like the liquidity in this case. But dang, is it so worth it to watch them? Tableside one where they come up and it's got the limes.
I'm going to spring for the guacamole. I am.
Yes.
Fine. I'll be the bearer of bad news this time. I guess you'll pass the baton over to me.
Take it.
Thankfully, there are not a lot of negative things about this asset class. In particular, the risks. We've seen way more risks with some other asset classes. So first off is that limited liquidity. We know that, you can't really touch it until the end of your term. In fact, it's locked up tighter than the Ministry of Magic's restricted section. Bringing back Harry Potter from last week. I think that Harry Potter is a Christmas movie.
I'm
going to stand on business
I just need to take your word for it. I have no idea.
And you should. Why does ABC Family show The Sorcerer's Stone and all the other ones on during the Christmas time, the lead up to Christmas?
Okay.
Come on. Anyways, you can't touch it.
Yeah, that stinks.
Next one is the fixed interest rates. Yes, this is both a pro and a little bit of a con, because if interest rates rise after you've committed, well, too bad. You're stuck in it like you're stuck in the low-rise jeans. Can't get them off. They're real tight around that waistband. can't get them off. And the third one is also that you still owe taxes. Interest is taxable even if you don't withdraw it. The government always is looking for their little piece of the pie.
Oh, yeah.
So, and most people, think about taxes and don't think yay. So that's that's a little bit of a con.
Yeah.
But basically overall, high yield CDs are safe, they're steady, they're predictable. They just aren't super flexible. You kind of get what you get.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're being honest, I'm not that flexible either in this aging body. I can sometimes like bend down to pick something up and I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? I'm like, I used to be able to do that so easy. Or you get down and your knees crack. I'm like, when did this start happening?
We gotta get into calisthenics.
Yeah, I need to just probably stretch more, honestly, instead of sitting and eating like I love to do. So anyway, now let's chat about the group that we're seeing use these CDs the most, because it's not just grandma's favorite asset class anymore. People who love high yield savings accounts, not savings accounts, CDs. See, getting ready for the next episode. They include risk-averse investors. So these guys are the ones who are panicking when their stock drops like by 0.2%. They're the ones that are every day checking it to see what it's like. And they're like, oh gosh, it went down. Oh no. And they're the ones who like panic sell. So these CDs are great for those kind of people because you just set it, forget it, it's good. Set. Yeah. They're great for cash heavy savers. So let's say you're not really ready to put your hard-earned money into the stock market, watch it maybe drop 2%, but then go up another one. These are great because you can just put your cash aside. Again, it's sitting there. It's not in jail. It's just like chilling. So you can make a little bit of money. Also, people saving for short-term goals. So think like weddings, down payments, luxury trips somewhere. Because if you put the money in a regular savings account where you can like transfer it amongst your accounts, you might want to spend it. If you know you can't touch it and you put it in there, okay, let's say you're going on a trip in a year. So you put it in a 6-month, locked up, high yield CD.
Leave it alone.
You get interest. You can't touch it. You're going to get some money off of it. So that's great.
Yes, for
the
sure.
last one that I honestly didn't ever take into consideration, but when I was doing this research, high yield or high earning professionals also use high yield CDs. So companies that have extra cash, same thing, that don't want to touch it for a while, they'll let the CD earn that interest for them without any risk. It's better than, same thing, the corporate equivalent of putting your money in timeout so that no one spends it on a crazy team building pizza party, ice skating, I don't know, outing, escape room, then someone gets too drunk and makes a fool of themselves. So anyway, just take that money. Let's not spend it or have any of your employees make fools of themselves. Put it in a high yield CD. It makes some interest. So your money makes money, and we love when that happens.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, if you're somebody who likes guaranteed growth without the drama, high yield CDs should be your go-to or could be a great option for you. Now, let's quickly go over some of these benefits here. There are 3, or who benefits specifically. You, the investor, because you actually get the yield without the risk or without a lot of risk, right? It's like, even if the bank for some reason goes down, you have that
insured.
FDIC insurance, which is pretty cool. Number 2, banks actually benefit from this too. There's a reason why they offer it as an investment option. They get stable deposits and they can then lend out that money and eventually get interest back on that because like you mentioned, they might be lending out this money for mortgages, and of course they charge interest on a mortgage payment.
And that's how banks make money, people. If you didn't know that, that's how they do it.
That's true. And also you again, but your future self. While others are really working hard to collect the minuscule crumbs of interest that are hanging out, you get to brag about how you made 5% potentially in 2025, which sometimes feels rare right now. And if you want to feel financially smug, like I made a good choice, but in a low risk way, this is a good way to do that.
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying learning about high yield CDs. But I want to know if they're actually good for diversifying one's portfolio, because it sounds they're just really, really low risk. So does that actually help? In a word, yes, but there is a nuance to it. So CDs are a cash management tool. They're not meant to replace stocks, bonds, or alternative investments. I'm looking at you, wine, spirits, litigation, finance, fine art, fractional ownership people. I'm looking at you guys. Keep all that good stuff in your portfolio. But they can, however, smooth out that volatility, provide guaranteed yield, and protect your capital. They balance out the chaos like a friend or a sister. In Erin's case, who holds your purse while you rush down into the dance floor to break out those sweet, sweet moves. I've seen you break out the sweet moves a few times.
Yeah, if there's a dance floor, I'm going for it.
I love
for
it.
sure.
So we all know that they can diversify, but why don't you tell us how they diversify?
Yes, great question. Here are some fun ways to turn CDs into strategy and not just money that you put in bank jail. So CD laddering, this is interesting. Buying CDs with different maturity dates, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, whatever fits you, kind of stack them all together. This gives you steady cash flow, so you always kind of have some money that's coming back to you with some maturity dates coming up. You have regular opportunities to capture higher interest rates and less commitment anxiety because you're feeling like, oh,
Yeah.
I
can't touch this for 3 years. What am I going to do?
Yes, you can do a little shorter terms here, and maybe that makes you feel better.
Yeah.
Number 2, CD barbell strategy. I really like how a lot of these kind of feel like things you do at the gym. You do ladders at the gym. You do the barbells at the gym. Who knew CDs were working out?
Yeah.
This means that you split funds into short-term and long-term CDs, skip the middle maturities, and just like a barbell with weights on both ends, it kind of, balances each other.
So you get some early, keep some a little bit later, get a little bit more, but these one you can always reinvest into later and move, always moving that barbell down. I like that strategy too. I do like the laddering one too. It makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense. And then we have a multi-bank strategy. So you could keep CDs across several different banks for a few reasons. Remember that the FDIC coverage only covers you for $250,000. So, if you are wanting to put up more money than that, or, you might want to split that up amongst several banks so that you can get that insurance on every single CD that you have. And then also rate shopping. Different banks have different rates. So, you might not think that, but definitely worth kind of looking around and making sure that you're getting the best rate.
Yeah.
Now, just because you have a clear strategy doesn't mean that you know everything about investing in CDs.
You don't? I feel like I do. But I believe you are completely right. So let's get into a little bit more due diligence and see what the financial experts seek. As always, please remember you and I are not financial experts.
No.
Please seek professional help. We are not professional. We are learning right along with you, right? So first thing that you want to know is you want to check the APY and term. So longer term doesn't always equal the better rate. I think a lot of people are like, oh, if I leave it there longer, that's not the case. So sometimes 6-month CDs are eating, as the Gen Zers would say. It eats. And the 24-month CDs are, riding the short bus, if an older millennial is speaking.
Yeah, flopped, cooked, chopped.
All these terms.
Come on.
I can't keep up with it. So you want to also understand the penalties. So some banks may charge you 6 months of interest if you take it out early, where others might even charge you up to 12 months. So make sure you understand. You might have that ladder set, or your bell bar and something happens and you take it out early. Okay, they're just going to, slap you with that little wristband, but how hard are they going to hit you with it?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Depends.
And then you want to watch the rate environment. So, if the Fed is unpredictable, which, let's be honest, we all know it is, then timing really, really matters. Again, we talked about you're locked into that rate. Well, if you know they're going to change, maybe just chill for a second.
Yep, for sure. And in fact, by the time that this episode airs, speaking of the Federal Reserve should have made its final interest rate decision of 2025. Who knows? If the analysts were right, we might see the third straight rate cut, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And listeners who are listening in the future, you'll probably screaming at this podcast saying,
they did or they didn't.
They did or they didn't.
Yeah. But again,
at this time, we don't know.
We don't know.
So we're on the edge of our seats. Anyways, investors also want to verify the FDIC insurance. While we typically never say the G word, right? Guarantee. But this is one asset class that you can, kind of rely on it. We love guarantees.
Yes, we do.
We wish we could solely rely on guarantees. My therapist said that to me once. She was like, you love guarantees. I was like, who doesn't?
Yeah.
That's like saying I love to breathe.
Yeah.
And we also sleep better with guarantees.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, because you know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, more guarantees. Bring back guarantees.
There we go.
That's my political platform. And check to see, too, if there's a minimum deposit that's required. Some banks might ask for $500. Some banks might require $5,000. You just don't know. Depends on what sort of contract or deal you're entering into.
Yeah.
So just like you're shopping around for those rates, shop around for different minimums, see what matches you best. And also know that online banks tend to have lower minimums. So if you're looking out for that, that's a little tidbit.
Because they don't have those brick and mortars to worry about. They don't have people to.
They
have some people they employ, but not the customer facing ones.
Yep.
So yes, they can offer you a lower entry fee, if you will, and so you can still get that locked rate. So that is the scoop on high yield CDs. They're safe. Stable, they're a reliable investment that is currently having what I like to call a main character moment.
All right. Lots of Gen Z slang.
I know. You know what? I've been watching
a
a lot of stuff lately, and I'm just in the mood, I guess.
I like it. But if you love guaranteed returns, little to no risk, and the feeling of being a responsible adult with a CD, well, this asset class might just be for you, might be your soulmate. And as always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you want to see us IRL, well, kind of. Check out YouTube. You can see the dog, hear the dog.
Hear the dog.
Yes. And, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you then. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more insight on our next episode.
And don't forget to subscribe to continue the Alternative Investments chat.
Content provided in this
See you next
podcast
time.
is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as professional, financial, or investment advice. This podcast should not be construed as an offer to sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy any securities. We strongly recommend that you seek advice from a qualified professional before making any financial decisions.